Can you hear Barry? I think I'm on this twice. Yep.
Barry, can you keep talking for me so I can make sure you're not echoing around?
I'm on twice.
Yeah, so you have to shut one off. Hang on. I'm going to try to remove you on this second one. Oh, no, never mind.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
And we got rid of the second Barry Gradwell.
I know, only one of you tonight.
I want to know whether Ann Jo Jackson has her bunny slippers on.
Oh, you're muted.
I do not. I have bare feet on.
Oh, nice. That's nice too.
That's when you live down by the beach. You can have bare feet on, huh?
That's right.
You know, it's so nice. I like to pick nice, non-controversial items to accuse people of.
Now that's fine with me. You don't want to get controversial with me, Barry.
And how's Linda feeling?
I'm feeling fine. Thank you, Barry. How are you doing?
Oh, we've got everything under control around here.
Oh, we always do in Magnolia.
Gonna go into New York State next week, up into the rural area, go to the wine country, the Finger Lakes, and
Well, that'll be fun.
wine, taking our daughter with us. And then we're
What a-
gonna end up at a wedding shower for our oldest grandson, who will be getting married in September.
Neat. What a delightful trip.
No, it should involve a lot of drinking.
Yeah. Never been out to the Finger Lakes. I would like to do that.
I was out before, but it was so many years ago, it was in a different century.
Yeah.
Oh. Barry, you're hitting it tonight. You're getting all the tricks here. Oh, I see our fearless leader. You're missing all but, we have everyone but Mr. Cook.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Rob.
Ian Spoke is here.
Does our fearless leader have everything under control?
Yeah. I'll go with yes for now, but I reserve the right to say no later. All right. Shall we wait for Mr. Cook or?
Yeah, we can give him a couple more minutes. It's exactly 6 p.m. on my clock, so. Yeah, close right now. We have 8 panelists and 15 attendees, so I'm certainly expecting more applicants, representatives, and applicants to join the call. Well, there's Mr. Cook. Hello.
Is he here? Bill, you here? I see him. Bill,
I'm here.
there he
there he
is.
Good.
Excellent. All right. This is the meet, do we want to do our,
Sure. Would you like me to start?
the usual blurb? Yes, from the state.
Okay, with pleasure. Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, August 4th, 2021 meeting of the Gloucester Conservation Commission. The time is 6:01. Consistent with Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting will be conducted by remote participation. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to the meeting in real time and participate when necessary. Persons who wish to do so are invited to view the meeting at the link provided on the meeting notice and agenda, and also at the City of Gloucester Remote Meetings website under the Conservation Commission meeting of August 4th. You can also join by phone by dialing in and using the webinar ID 815-7414-3423 at the phone number provided on the agenda. In the event that live transmission proves unworkable for any reason, an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the meeting will be made available on the city's website as soon as possible. Before we kick it off, upcoming meetings for commissioners and applicants reference are August 18th, September 1, and September 15th. I do have a very late request to continue this that came in for a notice of intent 028-2786 6573 Essex Avenue. They have requested a continuance to August 18th, but otherwise everybody is on track to present tonight. That is on the agenda.
Okay. With that, you may want to do roll call commission member attendance.
Sure, for attendance, Commissioner Charpentier,
Here,
Commissioner Cook,
Here.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Present.
Commissioner Sargent,
Here.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Here.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next up on our list is administrative briefing. I don't know if you have anything to add, Adrian?
I guess we can talk quickly about the Conservation Office. We are pretty much back online after having been shut down and remodeled through COVID. We are very close to being finished with meeting minutes. There are 3 months of meeting minutes from 2020 that remain outstanding. And the city had actually hired a per diem to try to take care of meeting minutes for 2020, but commission minutes are not coming around fast enough. And at this point, after tonight, we will have brought all of our minutes up to speed except for those. So my clerk will be taking that on. Otherwise, I have nothing to add except to say that I did get a message from the DEP that the plovers have all fledged off of Good Harbor Beach and the season is now over.
Do we know how many fledged?
Only one.
Only one.
Mhm.
That's still better than last year, I think, isn't it?
It's better than none, you know. One is
That's a
average.
tough place for plovers. They shouldn't be there, unfortunately.
So that's all.
Okay, thank you. Next up would be our public comment period. This is the period of the meeting where anyone in the public is welcome to speak towards conservation issues that are not, I repeat, not on tonight's agenda. If anybody wishes to speak on conservation issues that are not on tonight's agenda, you may do so by using the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your handheld device or phone.
There are 17 attendees in the participants column tonight and 12 panelists. And I do not see any members of the public to comment at this time.
Okay. Moving right along, we got minutes review and approval. We have February 3rd, February 17th. I cannot do the 3rd or the 17th because I left the meetings early because of another conflict. So let's do February 3rd and February 17th first, and I'll have to abstain from the other two. So if you want
Okay.
to do a roll call vote on, or Joe, if you want to cue that up.
I will move to approve the minutes for the Conservation Commission meetings of February 3rd and February 17th, 2021 as amended.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes,
Commissioner Cook,
Yes,
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent.
Must abstain from the 3rd because I wasn't on the commission.
Okay, Co-Chairwoman Jackson
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Jackson moves to approve the minutes for March 3rd and March 17th for Conservation Commission meetings 2021 as amended.
Charpentier
Sorry.
seconds.
And a
Sorry.
roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes,
Commissioner Cook,
yes,
Commissioner Gradwell,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
I'm going to abstain.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. Next up, continued business, RDA 1703, Salt Island Road. This is by Mark Martinetti. The applicant is previously continued to August 18th, 2021. So in case
Just a-
anyone's here for that, that will be
Just-
held, that will be carried over to August 18th. Next
Just a
up would
note-
be. oh,
Just a note, Mr. Chair, it's
Yep.
Salt Island, not Salt Island Road.
No, thank you. You're right. Mark that down so we don't do that again. Okay, then next up would be ANRAD 28-2765, 171 to 281R Magnolia Avenue. Mike DeRosa at DeRosa Environmental representing. They're previously continued to September 15, 2021. So if anyone's here for that, that will not be heard tonight. It'll be heard on the 15th. Next up would be notice of intent 28-2776, 11 Webster Street, City of Gloucester, Richard Kirby to LLEC Environmental representing.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Rich Kirby from LEC Environmental. With me tonight is Doran Whittier, the project architects, Michelle Rogers, as well as Josh Soares from Niche Engineering, the project engineer. This is a continued public hearing as we've been undergoing peer review comments with BSC Group, and we've got their latest comment letter this afternoon. I'm happy to go through that with you if you like. But I think most of the items at this point have been addressed. There are a couple of remaining relatively minor items. Frankly, I think they could be conditioned. BSC, for example, wanted us to have all of the plans set in one document instead of having the landscape plans being a separate document from the engineering plans.
Well, rather than do it piecemeal, if you don't mind, why don't we just go through all of them quickly? So
Sure.
you're not jumping around.
Yeah, not at all. Sure.
And one of you can do it. I don't care if it's you or one of the other people on your team.
Yeah,
But
no, I'm happy to go through the comments.
Okay.
Maybe I can't read that personally, but I have it up on my screen and we can go through them both. Item number 1 has a comment with regard to the proposed BVW impacts. As we talked about, there is a 600 square foot wetland, long linear shaped wetland at the toe of a steep slope immediately adjacent to the ball field. And it is the resource area that places wetland on the property. There is a catch basin that this wetland empties to, and it's an older concrete structure and it's going to be replaced. In order to replace it, we have to alter 24 square feet of that BVW temporary alteration. It'll be restored in kind using the means and methods we described in our report and that BSC agrees with. This was a misunderstanding due to a typo on my part. I had used the word culvert replacement instead of catch basin replacement. And Jillian had interpreted that as there being 2 areas of 24 square feet of wetland alteration. So I sent Adrian and Jillian an email just recently, sort of clarifying some of these comments, and that was one of them. So we only have 24 square feet of temporary wetland alteration. The revised notice of intent form reflects that. So I believe this comment has been addressed.
Excellent. Move on.
Okay. The next item has to do with the notice of intent site plans, which they're just, BSC is really noting, how we responded. Updated comment 3, again, provide one single set of the plans for the Conservation Commission review and approval. We absolutely can do that, including the planting plan sheets. The commission has all this stuff. It just, BSC is recommending we package it differently. So I'm thinking that could be potentially a condition of approval. Adrian, would you mind upgrading Ben Loomis to a panelist, please?
Sure, I can do that.
Thanks. Let's go down. All the plan sets have been revised to add the buffer zone. We specify that there'll be no grade changes within the wetland or the buffer zone restoration area. We had talked about adding erosion controls to the plan between the buffer zone restoration and the development of the site. We talk about it in the report. This erosion control line is actually on the revised niche plans, but I think we could add it to the landscape plans as well. So just
This is under line item 6 still, right?
correct. Line item 6, right before item 7. which
Correct.
goes into the erosion controls. We modified the plans to incorporate all of their erosion control recommendations. This is, the one plan, site plan ERP1 does not show erosion controls between the construction area and the restoration area. I just talked about that. It's a simple addition. Going down to item 8, soils. So there was a note in the in one of the plans regarding grading for the site. And the note said that all topsoil encountered within the work area shall be stripped to its full depth, etc. We added a note specifying that topsoil within the wetland and buffer zone restoration shall remain in place. We add that to the plan sets. So BSC recommends that we provide a plan that visually indicates the areas. So while we describe it in narrative form on the plans in note form, as we typically do, BSC is recommending that we have a visual plan that just separates one hatch or color for where the topsoil will be removed and stockpiled for the site, and another area where the topsoil will not be removed. Which again seems like a potential, I don't want to be presumptuous, but it seems to me that could be a condition of approval. Item 9, buffer zone impacts. We talk about how in our response to comments that, just under half of the buffer zone on the site is naturally vegetated. It's basically the section to the southeast. And the rest of it is all currently field and bleachers and the ball field, whatnot. And we are focusing virtually all of our redevelopments within that field. We have about 34% of that buffer zone area will be impervious with either the loop roadway or the building. We're managing stormwater from those impervious areas in accordance with state and local requirements. And part of the reason that we have the arrangement where we have it is because this project has been undergoing design for nearly 2.5 years. And one of the big issues was safety, traffic and pedestrian safety along the street. And so we have to the right, it's not shown in this plan section, but within the right-hand portion, we have the loop driveway and the drop off, et cetera. And the reason that we have so much the street on or pavement on the property is to limit the pedestrian and, or to improve the pedestrian and traffic safety on Webster Street. So a lot has gone into this. If we were to start looking at modifying design now, we'd be back to the drawing board, we'd be back to the planning board for permitting, back to the school committee for, rethinking things. I think this is a modest development within the buffer zone. We are proposing buffer zone restoration, and we do need to remember, in my opinion, that, this is a relatively low functioning wetland. All wetlands provide some function and value, but given that it is from a landscape context, relatively isolated, its function and value is limited.
Understood.
So that was the last comment, was just a discussion of the cumulative impacts. And of course, all of the development on this site either predates the Wetlands Protection Act or is being proposed in this notice of intent. And we talk about that in the revised report as well. So that's the short response to the final BSC comment letter.
Before you go farther, Mr. Kirby, can you please quickly just walk through the comment letter from the engineering review?
Sure. I'm actually going to turn that over to Josh or Paige from Niche Engineering to look at that, because they're that's their area of expertise.
Sure.
And if you could also upgrade Michelle Rogers to panelist as well, she can also provide commentary as needed.
Sure.
Thank you. Josh or Paige?
Hi, this is Paige Simmons with Niche Engineering. I believe that we have addressed all of the comments, but I haven't actually seen Dominic's responses. So if he could maybe run through any open comments, we could verbally address them. But I believe that we provided responses to all of his initial comments. So, but we never actually received a letter back.
So I'll walk through this for you. This is notice of intent, supplemental stormwater review, response to your comments. And I'm just going to do this quickly. Review comments under number 1 for commissioners' edification. We consider this item closed. Under number 2, we consider this item closed. Under number 3, we consider this item closed. Under number 4, we consider this item closed. And the same here for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Well, that pretty much wraps it up then.
Yeah.
As far as stormwater review,
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. That's what we want to see. So that's good.
that is solved.
Great.
Okay. Rich, anything else to add at this point before I open up for public comment?
I don't think so. Happy to answer any public concerns or any questions from the commission.
Okay, great. So at this point in time, anybody in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project at 11 Webster Street, you may do so now by hitting that raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting the *9 on your phone or handheld device.
So there are 20 attendees right now. I see quite a few are city councilors or other members of the development team for this particular project or some of the later projects that will be on the agenda tonight. I do not see any members of the public to comment at this time.
Okay, with that then, hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public comment period. Commissioners, you want to do, Adrian, do you want to do commissioner comments?
Sure. For comments from commissioners, Commissioner Charpentier,
No comments.
Commissioner Cook,
No, I'd just like to thank everybody for getting back so quickly and so thoroughly with all the responses to the third-party review. So I'd like to thank everybody.
Commissioner Gradwell,
No comments.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yeah, I'm pleased that the applicant's proposing greater wetland restoration as a result of the peer review, and that'll serve as an outdoor classroom. I heard at the last meeting that the restored wetland will be protected by fencing and have applicable signage. Suggest that the fencing not be placed right at the edge of the wetland. This would provide a path where students could safely monitor and not have to walk on the restored wetland by default. Just a suggestion. And I want as a condition that there will be a deep hole test pit to make sure that the engineered, seasonally high groundwater is accurate.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson
No comment.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
My only comment would be is, again, I would agree. I thank the team for coming back so quickly with all our questions answered, but for me anyways, and that this is a very small isolated wetland. We're here to protect it. I think we did a good job. I think the group did a good job of taking care of something that some people would look at and say is a relatively minor thing, but to us it isn't. It's important. It's small, but it's still important. And I think we've, actually, I should say, the applicant has done a great job of preserving it. So with that, I have no other comments.
Thank you.
And based on that, if everybody's okay, I don't see why we can't move this tonight. But that's me.
Okay. Shall I move forward?
Adrian, any reason why we shouldn't?
I would like you to condition the approval on the fulfillment of the requested terms of the peer review for wetlands, which is to say the plan updates and collating of the plans for the order.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes,
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson moves to approve NOI 0282776 11 Webster Street on the condition that there is fulfillment of the requested items from the peer reviewer for the wetlands, which include plan updates and the collation of plans.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes,
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on the agenda
Thank
is.
thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Welcome.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Mr.
night.
Murphy. Before you plow through this, Chairman Gullah, if you'll just give me 1 minute, because quite a few people I think will drop off this call right now, which makes my navigating a little challenging.
That's fine, take your
The
time.
Hollywood Squares, I'll change places. Every-
Like Tetris.
Yeah. Okay, I think that we are okay. We are okay to move forward. Carry on.
All right. Next up is notice of intent 28-2785 167 Atlantic Street, Lot 1. Jarama Thor Akerly at Williams and Sparagus representing. Do we want to do these one by one? I would assume we do.
Yeah, we can take them one at a time here. Hold on.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Chris Sparagus, registered professional engineer. I've been working closely with Thor Akerly from our office on this project from the very beginning. And Thor's on vacation this week, and I'm going to be presenting the revised plans tonight for the commission.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay. So
I'm going to give it to you like this because I think it's a little bit more clear.
Actually, Chris, if you don't mind stepping back for a second, usually I've got out of tune here. Usually I like to do public comment first, just so you can answer those questions at the same time, potentially, than going back and forth. So
Sure.
at this time, I'd like to open the project for 167 Atlantic Street to the public. If anyone wishes to speak for or against the project at 167 Atlantic Street, Lot 1, you may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
I see no members of the public to comment at this time.
Okay. Seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. The floor is yours, Chris.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Adrian, I think that there may be a little bit more detail on the individual plan. Would it be okay if I shared my screen or if you pulled up that plan?
I can pull that up for you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Starting with lot 1. Here you go.
Yes, please. Okay, that's great. So there were several changes that were made to the plans following our site visit with the commission and the last public hearing. Thor took several notes. We also had a previous site walk with other department representatives. I don't think the commission members were able to make that visit, but Adrian was on site, and we collected a whole bunch of information and then went to work. And the plans that we're going to be presenting tonight are the fruit of that labor. Now, we'll take them one at a time, Mr. Chairman, and then our overall plot plan that shows all 3 lots also is a 3-sheet plan set that has our detailed planting plan. So if you'd like, I can finish with that. So let's jump into lot 1 here. So what we were able to do, first off, was to identify the trees within the buffer zone on each of the lots. And on lot 1, you'll see on each of the lots, we have these little dots represented. Some of them have X's through them and some of them don't. We flagged the ones that and identified the ones that were actually beyond the limit of work too, just to give you an idea of the trees that were greater than 7 inches in diameter breast height downhill from our proposed limit of work line. Then what we did for this particular duplex, and you'll see we did the same thing on lot 2, we changed the configuration of the building to make it a little bit longer and not as deep. And what that allowed us to do is to pull the pulley units a little bit further away from the wetland. You can see that the entire building is almost outside the buffer zone today with this revised plan. Further away from the wetland, we have our proposed septic system. And after some suggestions and back and forth from the Board of Health, because we have these septic system designs submitted to the Board of Health for review, they have asked us to increase the amount of treatment for these systems. Previously, we had proposed an innovative alternative technology called a Presby system for each of the proposed buildings. And the Board of Health asked us if we would increase to the next level of treatment, which is secondary treatment units with pressure distribution. And so the technology that we've chosen is called Singulair, and it involves aeration that will take place in the septic tank. So the sewage will come out of the house and go into the septic tank, where a blower will force additional oxygen into the tank, providing for additional treatment. And then what DEP tells us in Title V is that if you propose a secondary treatment unit like a Singulair or any of those technologies, you have to provide pressure dosing to more evenly distribute the wastewater across the leaching field. And so we have a pump chamber for each of the lots now and a pressure distribution style leaching field. The other thing that we did on the septic system side is that we reduced the amount of septic flow associated with each of the buildings. And so for lot 1, we went from 3-bedroom units to 2-bedroom units. So our septic flow was reduced from 660 gallons per day to 440 gallons per day. So that also changed the septic system by reducing its size, if you will. Finally, what we did was we provided much more detail on our proposed stormwater management design. And each of the lots that we're going to be looking at tonight have a similar best management practice treatment chain for collecting and running stormwater runoff from paved surfaces and the roofs through a series of BMPs. And so for lot 1, we have a driveway in front of the units. And what we did was we graded the hardscape such that it flows from east to west, so from right to left. You can see we added a few little drainage arrows to show the direction of the flow. And then what happens is as soon as we come off the edge of the pavement, we have a 2-foot wide by 2-foot deep stone fill trench. So Adrian, back right along the driveway, there's a 2-foot wide stone fill trench that wraps around the entire driveway on the downhill side. So that's our initial pre-treatment, if you will, for that runoff off of the paved surface. So the water will flow across the 2-foot wide, 2-foot deep stone fill trench. And then any water that continues flowing over the surface will make its way into a grass swale. And you can see the grass swale has the funny shape, the parabolic shape. And you can see the flow arrows, and that will direct the stormwater runoff from the paved surfaces on the front of the property down to our next BMP, which is a little bit lower in elevation off of the southwest corner of the building in the backyard. We have proposed a rain garden. And the rain garden is long and narrow. And when I'm presenting the planting plan at the end, I'll show you the makeup of the rain garden. But we've designed it so that it's at least 2 feet above estimated seasonal high groundwater table. We did a test hole to confirm that at the request of the engineering department. And we're going to be forwarding these plans to engineering for review. But that's our sort of our final treatment chain for the BMPs, and then stormwater will build up in the rain garden, then overflow or infiltrate into the ground. And makeup of the bottom of the rain garden includes a mixture of mulch and topsoil and a series of shrub plantings. Each of the rain gardens that we're going to show you, we have 1 on each lot, have 12 proposed shrub plantings and 48 sedge style grass plantings that are going to be planted in the bottom of just the rain gardens themselves. What's not shown on this plan, and I'm going to wait until the end to show you the revised planting plan. So those are the changes on the surface of the ground and what we did to improve and address the concerns of the commission for lot 1. So Mr. Chairman, I'll stop there and I'll be happy to answer any questions on this one.
Okay. Yeah, why don't we go to commissioner comments, Adrian, please?
Commissioner Charpentier.
I have no comments other than to say I like the upgraded stormwater plan a lot.
Commissioner Cook.
Yeah, I agree. Reducing it from 3 bedrooms to 2, smaller septic, all the changes they made are great. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Gradwell.
We're making serious progress on that by reducing the number of bedrooms and setting up the stormwater. We're in good shape.
Okay. Commissioner Sargent.
Yes, salinity within the ambient waters of Jones River is generally around 30 to 32 parts per thousand. Salinity within the upper salt marsh of Jones River, which is dominated by high tide bush, is roughly half that. These lower salinities are due to the slow recharge of salinity within this very old established salt marsh, as well as existing groundwater flow to the salt marsh. If additional volumes of either surface or subsurface freshwater are introduced, it conceivably could tilt salinity in favor of the establishment of Phragmites. The Gloucester Wetland Ordinance has a standard requirement of 100 feet for a buffer zone around most of Gloucester's coastal wetlands, the exception being the 300-foot buffer zone around the ACEC. Additionally, the Commission has the discretion to require a 200-foot buffer zone to protect wetland interests that are noted in the Act. Although the Jones River is not designated as an ACEC, it has both the historic and natural resources criteria to be so designated. Therefore, I believe it appropriate for the commission to require a 200-foot buffer zone for these 3 proposed lots as allowed under the Gloucester wastewater ordinance, with a 2-to-1 mitigation of plantings in order to better protect the Jones River salt marsh. And that's it.
Thank you. Co-Chairwoman Jackson
No comments.
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
No comment. So why don't we move on to, it's up to the applicant. Do you have anything that you want to say about the pushing it to a 200-foot buffer and 2-to-1 mitigation? You may have already covered it in your planting plan, but I haven't seen it.
I think you took the words out of my mouth, Mr. Chairman. I think that we'll be able to address Mr. Sargent's comments when we present the planting plan. Thank you.
Okay. So with that, Andrea, why don't we move on to, this is a little goofy because we
Number
have
2?
one order open.
Yeah, so you can table it
Okay.
and you can move to table it and then we can make a motion on all 3 at the end, I think.
And Joe, you want to make a motion to table the project at,
Certainly. Commissioner Jackson moves to table the project for NOI 0282785, 167 Atlantic Street, Lot 1.
Charpentier seconds?
Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
yes.
Okay.
With that, now am I reading my agenda right, or do we have a DEP number for lot 2 or no?
Lot 2 still does not have a DEP file number.
Okay,
I can
so,
fill you in on that, Mr. Chairman, if you'd like. There was a $15 discrepancy in the filing fee that we had sent along to DEP when they brought it to our attention.
okay.
So that's the holdup, but they do have the check. It's just a matter of time on that one.
Okay, well, in general, I mean, we have to continue that one tonight, but we can't without a number move forward with a vote. So, but at this time, let's review it. Notice of intent, DEP number not issued yet, 167 Atlantic Street, Lot 2, Jarama, Thor Akeley, William and Sparaj is representing.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Adrian, this one is the one for Lot 3.
Oh, it says number 2. That's why. Sorry about that. I'm like, this looks awfully different.
What? Now we're back to, okay, here we go.
That's 2.
Thanks. If we can start near the top and then we can kind of pan down. This is our, maybe from the bottom and we'll work our way back up upstream. Thank you, Adrian. So this is our proposed lot 2, and what doesn't show here is there was a significant change in the position of this particular home building. We changed the shape, and we actually, by changing the shape, we were able to slide it much further uphill. We went the setback from the house to the wetland was about 61 feet before, and now we've moved it about 22.5 feet further upslope. And so now the setback is more in the order of 83.7 feet or so, and it's really measured from the decks in the back. You can see most of the home now, the footprint of the home is outside the 100-foot buffer zone. Yes, this is the previous plan, which was a different shape. And what we've done is we've pulled it further upslope. That also has resulted in shortening the driveway. So we have a reduction in impervious surface for the driveway of about 300 square feet or so. Now, if we can move up to the top of the plan, very similar to the plan for Lot 1, this plan has been graded in such a way to provide the stormwater runoff from the paved surfaces to flow left and right of the proposed home. We can do this by proposing spot grades and directing water in a couple of different directions. And again, our mission is to try to have the stormwater from the paved surfaces flow through our infiltration trench and then across the grass areas on either side of the home down to the rain garden, which is behind the home. If we want to pan down a little bit, this is a similar shaped. I think this one's a little bit larger than the one on lot 1, but similar to the other one. We have a series of plantings. There are 12 woody growth shrubs proposed, along with 48 sedge grasses, and this lot also has the 200-foot boundary from the Jones River, the riverfront area, and we don't have any grading proposed within the riverfront area, but we are still showing our proposed 4-foot wide footpath and the walkway across the portion of the salt marsh that brings us close to the edge of the Jones River for a vista that would serve this home. When we went out and first started scoping out this project and saw how beautiful it was when you walked out in the back and walked out onto the salt marsh, we thought it would be really a nice feature to have a walkway that a homeowner could take a walk on a wooden walkway without walking in the resource area to enjoy the vista, bird watch, or different things along those lines. If you recall, earlier in our initial submission, we had also proposed a ramp with a floating dock, but after our site visit, folks from the shellfish officer, warden, had come out and informed us that that it's very difficult to have something like that near the shellfish bed because the water just is not deep enough, and it would be impractical to have something like that. And so we eliminated it from the plan, and now it's just a simple walkway. They also asked us to raise the walkway to at least 6 feet above the surface in order to comply with local and state regulations. And so we are proposing to do that change for them as well. And if we, yes, thank you. So the ramp and the floating dock have been removed. A little bit more information on the walkway. What we're proposing the way we're proposing to construct it is with helical screw piles, which do not do a lot of damage and disturbance. It's a little bit easier installation and cleaner, if you will, to get in and to get out of that area. Let me see. And then going back up to the top of the hill, similar in nature, we've reduced the flow to the septic system on this duplex building as well. So we've gone from 660 gallons per day to 550 gallons per day. So we've reduced the flow and added this secondary treatment unit technology, the same technology that we're proposing on lot 1, which is that singular aeration system with a pressure distribution leaching field. And you can see the leaching field is way out near the front of the property. So that's the end of my formal presentation, Mr. Chairman. On this one, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. I didn't open this one up for the public yet, did I?
No.
Okay. So why don't we do that first? Let me write something there. Hold on. Okay. So at this time, I'll open it up for the public comment period of the meeting for this review. If anybody wishes to speak for or against the project at 167 Atlantic Street, Lot 2, you may do so now by using the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
I see no members of the public to comment at this time. Oh, I have a hand up.
Oh,
Excuse me. Bobby Bishop, I'm going to allow you to talk and ask you to unmute. Go ahead.
hello.
Robert, yep, can you hear me?
Yep,
Okay, Robert Bishop, 167 Atlantic Street.
yep.
And I just have a couple concerns. When either A, you run off into your stone pit or even a leaching field area that leaches in the ground, there's a lot of ledge around this area. Is there any concern with the committee or anybody that if leaching does go in the ground, it starts hitting the ledge line, it starts to drape towards the salt marsh, say in 10, 15 years, is there any way to identify that, or is a testing of any sort to determine that can actually happen?
Okay, so this is the public comment period, so you speak, and then when you're done, we're gonna take notes in case there are other people. So he's not gonna respond, the applicant right now. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Nope, I think that's it, sir.
Okay, no, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else with their hand up, Adrian?
I see no other members of the public to comment at this time.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. So why don't you start with that, I guess, that comment about ledge management and under the subterranean issues?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's a good question. Title V, which is the state regulations that govern septic system design and construction, tell us that we have to dig test holes to evaluate the subsurface soils with not only within the leaching area, but enough so that we can determine beyond a reasonable doubt that there aren't any ledge outcroppings or any other things within, let's say, a certain number of feet of the system. I think it's about 20 feet or so, 25 feet. So we've done a series of test holes on both lots 1, lots 2, and lot 3 to prove that there's at least 4 feet of naturally occurring soil. And in the case of 167, there's more than that in the area of the proposed leaching fields. Then we've also dug test holes further back on the property within each of the rain garden areas. And we were able to get down very deep in each one of those holes as well. As you start to head towards lot 3, there is an obvious ledge outcropping on lot 3. And so we can see that. It's sort of like a red light. And we're keeping our rain garden, we haven't gotten to lot 3 yet, but we're keeping our rain garden and our septic system well away from that ledge outcropping. So based on our subsurface soil investigations, both in the vicinity of the leaching fields and then down below by our proposed rain gardens, we feel that there is enough soil that that concern that was raised by Mr. Bishop, wouldn't be a concern.
Okay, let's go back to roll call commissioner comments, Adrian, please.
Sure. Our comments, Commissioner Charpentier.
Well, it's not clear to me, did we get an answer on the expansion of the buffer zone as Commissioner Sargent stated?
I think Miss Charpentier, I was going to address that when we talk about the planting plan.
Okay,
Anything else, Linda?
no, that's it.
Okay. Commissioner Cook.
Then again, I mean, the house plan, the septic, all of that, I don't have any problems with. I think it's great. The issue I'm still facing on this lot is the attempt to put the walkway. I know you've removed the floating pier. I still don't like the idea of having that walkway extended across there. We've got too much wildlife and everything. What I would support in place of that is some type of deck right on the edge if they want to do observations and stuff like that. Some type of open deck. But I'm really torn on the walkway going across there because I know how much we have with deer and other wildlife crossing through the wetland sections over there. That's it.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
Commissioner Gradwall.
No comment.
Commissioner Sargent.
Yes, same comment for lot 1, regarding the 200-foot buffer and the 2-to-1 mitigation, but also on the walkway. I noticed that you're going to do a 1.5-to-1 height to width ratio. Many studies have shown that that's not sufficient. I'd like it a little bit higher than that if the walkway is approved. And it would be nice if there was some spaces in the boards on the surface again to allow more light to come in. And I would want the salt marsh to be monitored for at least 3 years underneath that. And many studies have shown that walkways across the salt marsh, when there's astronomically high tide, sea wrack builds up, on the legs of the pier. And that creates an elevation in fresh water because it floats on the top of salt water. It can also, promote the establishment of Phragmites. So I echo Mr. Cook's alternative proposal.
Okay. Co-Chairwoman Jackson
No additional comments.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
First of all, I'll get clarification, but I do think this is a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom. Is that true? I think it is.
That's correct,
You know-
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Aside from that, I mean, it seems to be playing all the same with the rules and shapes of the previous one. But that dock, to me too, is a big concern. I agree with my fellow commissioners that, I'm not really in favor of anything there. My big fear is that, and we're gonna get into it hopefully during the planting plan, but I'm gonna have to be, significantly overwhelmed by this planting plan to really change my concerns, not only about the boardwalk or the path. I'm confused about what went and what's staying. But in general, I'm really concerned about that, and any monuments to show, this is a safe conservation area, that there needs to be protections in place to let people know where they can and can't do any lawn or tree cutting. So to manage all that, I'm sure it's going to get covered in your planting plan, but it's thin right now. Let's hope that, you can wow me with the planting plan. But I am concerned about the dock and pier or the footpath. Whatever you want to do there is a big concern for me. It's just a very sensitive area. You're in a sensitive area to begin with, and now you're literally dipping your toe into a really sensitive area. So that's it for me.
Okay.
So with that, I guess this one's going to have to get continued anyways, correct?
Okay,
So do we want to move it to continue it now? Oh, we got to wait for the planting plan anyways. So we should
Okay.
move to table this as well, I guess.
okay. Commissioner Jackson moves the table NOI with the unassigned DEP number 167 Atlantic Street, Lot 2.
Carpentier seconds?
Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes,
Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the next lot, we have notice of intent 28-2784-167 Atlantic Street, Lot 3, Jarama, Thor Igley of Williams and Sparagus representing.
Mr. Chairman, did you want to open it up to the public first?
Yes, let me write, yep. Okay. All right, this is the period of this meeting. This is the same project. There are 3 pieces to it. This is the 3rd lot. If anybody in the public wishes to speak for or against this project, you may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen, or hitting the *9 on your phone or handheld device.
This is Kathy. I'm going to allow you to talk and ask you to unmute. Go ahead.
My name is Kathy Perkins. I live at 168 Atlantic Street, and I am not clear on the square footage of the new design. We haven't talked about this one yet. I know that you cut back on Lot 1. Lot 2, I think you only cut back on one side of what you call the duplex. Tied into that concern, I'd like to know how many owners will own these. Are we dealing with potentially 5 individual owners, or are the duplexes being sold to one owner and condoized? And that, to me, would indicate who would take care of future problems, because it's all well and good to approve a plan, But as the years go on, people change things.
Thank you. Is that it? Do you have anything else, Kathy?
Well, I'm against it, but that's besides the point.
Do you
Thank
have anything related to the conservation that concerns you?
I do. I have lived in my spot for many, many years, have seen the change, but I'm well aware of the ecosystem that exists there and the impact that these 3 lots will have from the marsh to the road. Is just a highway for wildlife. And any disruption of that will disrupt their existence.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else, Adrian?
Yes, Buddy, I'm going to allow you to talk and ask you to unmute.
Yes, hello. This is Howard Buddy Hackett, 178 Atlantic Street. And can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My concerns, my main concern was there was talk about blasting some of this ledge that's directly between the bishop's house and our house. And there's like a vein of boulders, or I guess it's a complete, line that comes from under the road and up beside our 2 houses. And, I'm concerned because I'm on oxygen and I have the whole house generated that's right near those boulders. And I'm hoping that we can avoid any kind of blasting that would take place. That's number 1. Number 2, I'm against the any interference in the river with any kind of a walkout or whatever they want to call it. I frequently can look out my window and see deer, that frolic at low tide. And I've seen as many as 10 of them with their young ones, playing out there and at dusk, and then other animals that we see, so I'm really concerned that the river doesn't get disturbed, at all. That's about it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else, Adrian?
I see no other members. Oh, I see Bobby Bishop. Bobby, I'm going to ask you to unmute. And
Okay, can you hear me?
yep, you're
Robert Bishop, 176 Atlantic Street. I just have a question regarding the heights of these units. Do we have any description of how wide or how high these units are actually going to be?
Well, the width is, we're conservation, we're not zoning or anything, so we really
Okay.
only focus what's on the ground.
Okay,
And the widths, you could get the drawings from the city hall, but you could scale them off a drawing, but we don't, we look at areas, not footed, linear feet.
sorry to waste your time.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, Adrian?
I do have one more hand up. Oh, no, that's Bobby. Okay, we're all set.
Okay. Seeing none here, none, I'll close the public comment period. Chris, you're back up.
Okay,
So you had a few questions there in general.
I
You
can
can
go
start with
through
those.
each of them if you'd like.
Yep.
So Ms. Perkins asked about the ownership, she had some ownership concerns, across the property. So we have lot 1 and lot 2, they're going to be duplexes. And the way the ownership is going to be set up is a condominium form of ownership. So there'll be a condominium that owns the building and the property, and the condominium will be responsible for the septic system. And then, of course, there'll be 2 unit owners that are subject to the restrictions and the ongoing long-term operation and maintenance of the septic system, for example, and that sort of thing. It's the way DEP likes to have ownerships set up when there are multiple units. That is the condominium form of ownership. So that's how lots 1 and 2 will be set up. And then lot 3 will be a single family home. That's the way it's proposed right now.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I understand the concern about, the concern about impacts to the ecosystem and that any disruption is bad. That is a common comment that we hear when the property is being developed. Right now, it's a wooded piece of property. And what we're trying to do is to do it, within the boundaries and within the regulations, and try to replant as many trees and shrubs as we can on the portions of the property that are available to us, and then establish a clear limit of work. And I know, Mr. Chairman, we talked about, you mentioned no disturb markers to make it clear to future property owners. We didn't show markers on the plan, but we have a very clear proposed erosion control line, which is our limit of work, and we're more than happy to work with the commission, and Adrian to establish a certain number of markers every so many feet, that would go into the ground as a permanent marker to let people know that beyond this point is no touch. So that's how we'd like to address that. The gentleman from 178 Atlantic Street who had concerns about blasting, we're just about to start talking about lot 3. There is a large ledge outcrop on the property, and I'll go into that in detail because we provided additional grading detail on how we're going to change the elevations on and along the ledge outcropping. We are proposing to blast, and that has to be done in accordance with state regulations. A pre-blast survey is done by the blasting company, where they go out within a 300-foot radius of the property to do a pre-blast survey that's submitted to the fire department. Sensitive receptors are established, houses are inspected, neighbors are spoken to, and the fire department is responsible as the approving authority for the permit under these state regulations. And so we're going to follow all of those rules, and together with the fire department determine what the best approach to do the blasting so that we can do what we need to do with the least amount of disturbance. But I understand the gentleman's concern. He mentioned that he was on oxygen, and I would imagine the concern is losing power or something along those lines. But I've never been involved in a project that had blasting on it with a blasting permit that was overseen by the fire department where power was lost or something, or it was disrupted. As long as everything is done in accordance with those regulations. And I know that our clients have worked with blasters in the past, and would use a reputable company like Maine Drilling and Blasting, or there's 2 or 3 people that do most of the blasting in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and it would be one of those top 2 or 3 companies that we would work with.
Okay, thank you. So the last part of this is if we want to pull up the, I'm sorry, why don't we do commissioner roll call comments for this lot?
I don't think we've had the opportunity to walk through the lot yet.
I can do it really quick.
Okay.
Sure.
All right, thank you. This is our lot 3. We've also reduced the number of bedrooms in this home from 5 to 4. And so the size of the septic system has been reduced from 550 gallons a day to 440. So the leaching field is reduced in size, and it also is using that Singulair secondary treatment unit technology, the aeration tank, and a pump chamber that will then pressure distribute the wastewater evenly across the leaching field that's shown on the plan. The driveway for this house is out in front, obviously, and it slopes away from the street, just like all of the driveways do. And we're directing the stormwater runoff to an infiltration trench along the east side of the driveway, the one that Adrian is painting out there. We have a little bit less room to work with on this lot. You'll see on the planting plan that we proposed some additional plantings, which will provide some additional treatment and uptake of stormwater, and that's going to be my presentation on the planting plan in a few minutes. And then down below, the impervious surface associated with the footprint of the home would be directed into another rain garden that you see at the bottom of the plan there, long and narrow again, our test hole data tells us that, that this area can support a nice rain garden with the separation from groundwater. Again, 12 shrub plantings within the rain garden itself with the 48 sedges, similar to the last 3. Now, on this lot, what the commission members asked us to do is to provide additional detail on the ledge removal on the property. And the ledge has a funny shape, of course, and we have labels on it and a perimeter of the extent of it, and it's got labels on it that say existing ledge. It's and you can see it. It's a crosshatch pattern that starts all along the wetland line and then heads out towards the street. And Adrian is outlining it right now. In the back, we've and so the top of it, rises as high as elevation 25, 26, 27. It's a little bit irregular, and then it drops as you head towards the wetlands edge somewhat back towards wetland flags A44 and A45. But as you head back up towards the street, it's quite a cliff, if you will, off of the downhill side of that piece of ledge. And so what we'd like to do is come back away from the edge of the wetland where the ledge extends to, and cut the ledge down approximately 4 to 5 feet along a ledge face that we've pointed out on the plan. There's a label that says proposed ledge face, and then several spot shots that show both the existing grade and the proposed grade, and how that's going to step down from the back of the home down towards the rain garden. And so we've established a clear ledge line, ledge face line, and how much we're going to cut, how much we'd like to cut to the west of that line. And then to the east, it would be no touch, the way we've shown it along the limit of work there. That's the end of my presentation on this one, Mr. Chairman. I'm here to answer questions. Thank you.
Okay. Adrian, you want to go through roll call comments?
Sure. Commissioner comment. Commissioner Charpentier.
I just have a question is that blasting being done because you're just trying to change the appearance of the ledge?
The reason for the blasting is in order to construct the home and the foundation. The ledge sticks up quite a bit. It sticks up as high as like approximately 2 feet above Atlantic Street, and so we have to blast it to get down to create a foundation system for the home. If you can see the footprint of the proposed home is sitting right on top of the ledge outcropping there.
Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Cook.
Okay, okay, just stay with the blasting. Do you anticipate the blasting to be more than 1 day or just 1 day?
It's unlikely that it'll be just 1 day. The reason why that is that the fire department and public safety officials will limit the time that we can blast to certain times of the day where it's, let's say, the least busy along Atlantic Street, for example. And so oftentimes we'll only have like an hour, maybe 2, to do what we need to do on a particular day. So the blasting, could take about a week, I would say, to complete. Now, the final time determination is up to the public safety officials, and the fire department works with the police department to make sure that we select the least busy time that folks are driving up and down Atlantic Street, for example, and that sort of thing. So ultimately, it'll depend on the public safety officials and on how much time we have to do the physical blasting.
Okay, and just, I'm sure there's a procedure for it to make sure that the neighbors are notified on the days that it is going to occur, especially for the neighbor across the street.
Yes, I'm glad that I think it was Mr. Hackett. I'm glad that he made us aware that he has this medical condition, because that's he's one of our sensitive receptors, and we'll focus right in on him and make sure that that we're extra careful because of that.
Okay. The next thing I have is the driveway on this. I don't think the curvature of the driveway where you're pulling out is going to be adequate. Because of that sharp bend in there, it looks like you can pull right out, but it's kind of like a blind driveway. You may need to widen the curve of that driveway somewhat. So you're not pulling out and getting killed. And the neighbors could probably speak to that, who drive it all the time and see the cars coming around a blind corner up at the top. The last thing I have, and it's not related to specifically to lot 1, but it isn't covered. I think the plan has been that they're going to, as part of this project, you're going to replace the water main all the way down. And I'm not sure exactly how far that's included in that plan, but I'd like to know is there's a culvert that runs across the street right where it branches between Atlantic Street and Atlantic Avenue. Is the water pipe going past there, and are they going to be replacing the culvert at that time as part of this project? Obviously you need water, so I'm assuming it has to take place at the same time.
Sure, I can answer that question, Mr. Cook. And this shows in detail on the plan for lot 1. So we've approached and had discussions with Mr. Hale at DPW about what the expectation is for bringing water to our site. And we've explained to Mr. Hale that we'd like to extend the water line across the front of the 3 homes. And that's a distance of about 425 feet. And that would run from the end of the existing hydrant that's across, let's say, from Mr. Perkins' home and Mr. O'Brien's home at 168, 170. In our discussions with Mr. Hale, he informed us that the condition of the existing 8-inch cast iron water main from that hydrant back to Castleview Drive is in rough shape. It's very old, and he said that anyone that wants to extend further down Atlantic Street will have to replace that section of 8-inch line from the hydrant back to the intersection of Castleview Drive. So that's another 465 feet of 8-inch water main, and new gate work, if you will, to replace that old pipe. But there are no plans to replace any stormwater structures or culverts. It's just it's not in the cards for the project. Replacing that amount of existing water main is a big offsite improvement expense for the project.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Commissioner Gradwall.
Barry.
Commissioner Gradwall, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Barry. All right, let's move on.
Okay,
You might have shut off for a sec.
Commissioner Sargent.
The same thing about the 200-foot buffer zone and the 2-to-1 mitigation. I noticed that Mr. Sparagus has not mentioned that the homeowners will be responsible for a long-term O&M for the stormwater systems. He mentioned just for the septic systems. I want to verify that they'll also be responsible for maintenance of the stormwater system.
Okay. Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
No additional comments.
Thank you. And Co-Chairman Gullah.
Not at this time.
Thank you. Chairman Gullah, there is a member of the public raising their hand, Bruce Alessio. I know the public comment period has already been closed. However, I thought I would bring it to your attention so that you may at least acknowledge that individual. Oh, now their hand is down. Perhaps that was a mistake. Never mind.
So it went away?
Next time, Bruce. We'll get you on the next hearing.
Okay, so why don't we move on to, I guess, the planting plan at this time?
Do we want to table lot 3 first?
I don't know if we have to because it's part of this.
Okay.
I think we're good. Shut that off, excuse me. Sorry about that. Might happen again. Yeah, so if we can go to the planting plan.
Okay, so for your benefit, what we had done at your request after the last hearing is that we prepared a plan that showed all 3 lots together so that folks could get an idea of how they related to one another and how the stormwater flowed across the site to the, made their way to the rain gardens. And so that's what this plan is, and it's a PDF that has 3 sheets. The planting plan is on sheet 2, so if we can go to sheet 2. Adrian, if we could start in the upper left-hand corner where the planting table is, I just want to explain how we approached selecting the plantings. So oftentimes when we're not exactly sure what plant should be planted exactly where, what we do is we come up with a plant schedule that has native trees, native shrubs, perennials, and grasses. And then we list a series of native plantings in each category, and then select symbols, which are shown on the right-hand column, that represent either a tree or a shrub or a perennial or a grass area. And this allows the developer or the builder to select trees that are in the category here. So we have not selected specific trees in specific locations, unless it's so noted on the plan. In this case, it's not. And so this is sort of the category of trees and shrubs, perennials, and grasses. So if we go over to the plan now, we have different symbols representing trees and shrubs and grasses. And so what we, and this goes back to what Mr. Sargent was talking about. I know that he's been concerned about freshwater migration from changes to the surface, and so additional fresh water making its way one way or another into the salt marsh and changing that balance. And so in addition to our stone-filled trenches, what I tried to do is I tried to position our new plantings. And by the way, we're talking across the 3 lots, it's about it looks like 64 new trees, 105 woody shrubs, and then a series of areas for grasses and perennials. But what we tried to do is group the trees and the plantings such that they are that the stormwater running off of the pavement, for example, has to run through this densely landscaped area, and so it provides another sort of BMP, a heavily vegetated area where stormwater running off of the pavement, if it doesn't get trapped in the infiltration trench, we hope that by planting this very heavily and densely, that the plants and the trees will do a good job of taking up this additional stormwater runoff from the paved surfaces. And we tried to do that across the 3 lots. In addition to the 64 new tree plantings, the 105 woody shrubs, and the areas of grasses and perennials, each of the rain gardens, as I mentioned before, have an additional 12 shrubs and 48 sedge plantings in each of those areas. And so that was the approach here. And you can see the symbols. The larger symbols are the trees. The smaller symbols, the smaller circles are the shrub plantings. And then the areas that are sort of cross-hatched represent areas of either perennial plantings or grass plantings. And so this is the most amount of landscaping I've ever put on a proposed plan for a project like this. So it was interesting laying it out. I've just never done it. Replanted this many trees. It's a lot. And we've been doing this a long time. But this is our planting plan, and this was our approach. And the third sheet of our plan here, we have a couple of details on this sheet. The third sheet has the detail that shows the stone fill trench. And then over to the left is the rain garden detail that I mentioned to you. You can see that what we do is we scoop out the earth along that long and narrow shape, and we fill it back in with 2 feet of a mixture of sand, topsoil, and compost. And underneath that, there are some gravel and pea stone and sand layers that act as filter layers even below this mixture of soil. And they're very shallow. So at the surface, it doesn't look like much is going on in the rain gardens. They look like landscape features because they're only about 6 inches deep at the surface, but underneath the ground is where all the action happens and all the treatment happens. So you can see the proposed rain garden species list over there to the left. So that concludes my presentation of the planting plan, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And I couldn't find this in the Google Drive, the planting plan. Was it there, Adrian? Am I missing it? I must have missed it.
I can.
Yeah, I have it, Rob.
Okay, so as long as
There,
someone got it,
yeah.
then it came in, because I'm
I
looking
can
at my
see it.
Google Drive now and I don't see it there. But, okay, so based on that, why don't we go through commissioner comments?
Sure. Comments from commissioners. Commissioner Charpentier.
So as I understand this, there are the duplex units are 2 separate condos.
So
And then-
lot 1 will be a condominium and lot 2 will be a condominium.
And so all of this planting plan for this whole area, there is no one association that is going to manage all of this over time. Is that correct?
That's correct. Each lot owner will be responsible for their own maintenance of the septic system. And I know Mr. Sargent, I believe maybe it was Mr. Cook mentioned adding the maintenance of the stormwater management structures. We're happy to do that as well. In the case of lot 1 and 2, because they're condominiums, we can write that language right in the condominium document, right in the master deed. And then lot 3 is a single family home. And we can also make sure that it's in the order of conditions and memorialized along with a written operation and maintenance plan that we can give to the homeowner, at the time of sale.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's it.
Commissioner Cook.
Yeah, I'm coming. What we definitely need, and we talked about this earlier, is I know at one point, was suggested of possibly putting a split rail fence in all along the edge of the resource, and or perpetual markers to prevent people or to notify people that they can't go back there. There's a lot of, it appears to be that there's going to be a lot of lawn area that will make it susceptible for people to move beyond the area that we want them to. So I don't know. I think I'm leaning closer to a fence with markers. But I can leave that up, how the other commissioners feel, either that or, heavier plantings along the edge that would prevent people from encroaching into those areas. Basically something to keep the people out.
Okay. Do you have more?
No, that's it.
Okay. Commissioner Gradwell.
He's concerned about 45 or 50 trees removed that are all closest to the resource. Now, I agree that they're leaving 40 or 50 trees in place and they're planting a lot of other trees. But it looks like you're just stripping out a whole forest area on the whole southern end of this project. And sorry about that interruption before I got cut off the internet.
All right, as long as you're okay. That's all we care about.
The internet isn't okay out here in the sticks.
Okay, who's next?
Um,
I think it's Mr. Sargent.
Mr. Sargent, Commissioner Sargent, sorry about that. I lost my momentum.
I echo Commissioner Gradwell's concern about what appears to be clear cutting everything that's near the BVW line. I noticed some of the plants, particularly the trees, and it didn't look like they were all native vegetation. And I'm wondering if these are deer resistant. There's a lot of deer in that area. So, you know, particularly with shrubs and grasses, you know, that would be an issue. I noticed a lot of the plantings, you know, had berries and deer like berries. And there's grassy areas, you know, such as Commissioner Cook talked about. And I'm wondering if there could be a ban on herbicides and pesticides on the grassy areas as well.
Mhm.
That's it.
Okay. Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
I echo many of the above comments. I may have missed it, but do we have a table of impervious added to mitigation area?
Ms. Jackson, what kind of table? I'm sorry.
How much impervious surface has been added, and then how much mitigation in square footage has been added? We usually require 2 to 1.
You may want to look, yeah, you may want to look at that in terms of, we've done it in the past where, so what my co-chair is mentioning is we normally do an impervious calculation, what it was before, what it is now, and mitigate for at least, we go for 2 to 1, that's our policy. But we've allowed it to be more or less, like you could probably take out the, you know, any ledge obviously wasn't going to allow any water filtration. So there's that one large piece, but other than that, it's a straightforward calculation we've done with other projects that we probably should see here, if nothing else, to be consistent in our request.
We can certainly do that. Now, regarding the plantings, where we're planting such a large number of woody shrubs, do those also count towards the compensation, if you will?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, all of what you were describing does.
Okay, so we can definitely add that tabular summary to make it, to memorialize it. And that way this project, you know, is doing the same thing that others did. The native plantings, Mr. Sargent, just to get back to your comment, I personally looked up every single one of those. I went to various websites that Mass Audubon has and some other folks at DEP. I'll double check it. But I was I tried to be careful about making sure that we didn't pick anything that doesn't belong, if you will. So I'll double check that. So I'll be very honest, Mr. How do you pronounce your name? Is it Gradwell?
Gradwell.
Yeah, Mr. Gradwell.
I just don't see how replacing 2 very small trees for a mature tree and the amount of moisture that can handle. I disagree with replacing 3-foot trees for an existing 40-foot tree.
Okay, maybe what we can do is we can go back and take a look at increasing the size of the trees that we're proposing to plant. We can certainly do that. Would it be okay, Mr. Chair, to get sort of an idea on what type of marker would be the most appropriate? We've done all sorts, and where we're going to have some extra rock, we've done larger stones every so many feet along the line. We've done 4x4 pressure treated posts with a nice placard every so many feet. I haven't done a split rail fence in a long time, but what do you think, Mr. Chair?
Well, I think I'll really, why don't we take a broader picture here? I would say there's quite a few you know, I think you're headed in the right direction here. I'm not saying that the board, you know, this is not working for me anyways. But there's a lot of good things happening here, but there's some classic things that you wouldn't know if you don't come before us regularly. But like you do plant heavily on the uphill side. We like all that down by the resource side. I know it all can't go there. We can tell by all of your tree removals, it's all about view. You know, we do this a lot, so we know what's going on. So what we would like you to probably do is take this and including in my particular case, that walkway is still a problem. I don't know how you're going to resolve that, but I have a bigger issue with that than the plantings. As far as it comes to markers, split rail fence are great, and then become a maintenance issue. So I personally like, and I don't know if that we usually did with little granite posts with a placard on top of them because the granite lasts. Otherwise, anything else you do, or you can do it on a large boulder if you place the boulders and then put the placard on the boulder, you know, every so feet. Those are the true monuments. The rest will decay in a matter of time. But I do think there's still some work to be done here, and where we have to continue the middle lot for obvious reasons with the DEP issue. Unless you have other questions, I would suggest we continue it and then take it up at the next meeting and take a look at that plan a little better. Maybe you can leave some of these trees and, you know, prune them higher, save some vegetation. But it's a good plan. Planting wise, it's a lot of plants. It's just unfortunate it's not really helping the resource as much as our commission likes. We'd like to see it. Maybe it's more grasslands, maybe it's smaller stuff, but we like it near the resource, and we get it. Someone's going to want a lawn here. Someone's going to want it to use their yard. But to take out that many trees, like you've heard many times now, and all by the resource, the give back just seems a little difficult for us to take right now, or me to take. And then there's the issue of moving the 200-foot buffer. I think you should talk about that, moving to a 200-foot buffer, talk about that with yourself or your clients or whoever, and think about that as well, because I think those are two big hurdles for me. 3 actually, the dock or the walkway, whatever that is, mitigation, proper mitigation in the right spot, and a little less removal of the existing vegetation if possible. Those are the things that I'm concerned about. So with that, are you open? Do you have any more comments or questions? I don't know if we want to go through one more roll call from the commissioners on their comments and concerns. So we send you back with a good list of what we're concerned about.
I took some very good notes when each of the members were talking.
Okay.
I think I have just one more question so that we can be clear.
Mhm.
We do show a 200-foot marker, if you will, line from the limit of the wetland. That's important from a septic system standpoint.
Mhm.
But when you say the 200-foot buffer zone, what does that exactly mean to
I
you?
think at least the way I took it, Mr. Sargent, what was your concept behind moving the 200-foot was planting issues, I would guess.
The trees that are specimen trees greater than, say, 7 inches, if you're removing them between the 100 and 200 foot, that needs to be taken into consideration.
Okay, I understand what you're saying now.
Okay.
Okay.
And
All
that
right.
was my understanding as well.
I don't want to take up any more of your time tonight. We've got a little bit of work to do, and we're going to take a very, very close look at that walkway, and we'll get a revised plan to address the comments that were made tonight. I think we've made some progress, and it looks like we can make some more, and we'll pick it up next time.
I would concur. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
So
Okay.
commissioners, yep.
Commissioner Jackson moves to continue the projects NOI 028-2785-167 Atlantic Street, Lot 1, NOI 028 unassigned DEP number 167 Atlantic Street, Lot 2, and NOI 028-2784-167 Atlantic Street, Lot 3, to the meeting of, did we agree on August 18th?
Chris, is the 18th okay?
Absolutely.
Anyone?
Yeah, we're going to
Okay.
get right to work on these right away and get them turned around to you at least a week before the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thank you very much.
Linda? you gonna second me?
Charpentier, yes, Charpentier seconds.
A roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes,
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes,
and Co-Chair Mangala.
To be clear, Chris, we're affirming the continuation. That's it. So yes,
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
have a good night. Next up, notice of intent 28-2786, 65 to 73 Essex Avenue, 65 to 73 Essex Avenue LLC, Megan Kearns at Epsilon representing. Applicant requests a continuation to August 18th.
Commissioner Jackson moves to continue NOI 0282786, 65 to 73 Essex Avenue to the commission's meeting of August 18th.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes,
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes,
and Co-Chair Mangala.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, notice of intent 28-2788, 97 Coles Island Road, Barry, John Judd of Gateway Consultants represent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to recap our, for the record, John Judd, Gateway Consultants. Just wanted to recap our site visit with a few of the members. Briefly, we are looking for a continuance for this project in advance, but this is a proposal for the pier, which we did, pier and float rather, at the end of this property, and we are looking for a continuance due to the comments received at our site visit with a few of the members and Adrian last week. And we're looking at alternative locations and maybe an alternative design because of the sensitivity and the comments received at that site meeting. So if that's okay with the board, we'd like to request a continuance to the next hearing until we can perhaps get together with the Shellfish Constable.
Okay. You want to move to the next meeting?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Commissioner Jackson moves to continue NOI 0282788 at 97 Coles Island Road to the Conservation Commission meeting of August 18th.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes,
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes,
and Co-Chair Mangala.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next up, notice of intent 28-2792, 45 Norwood Heights, Andrews, Kelly Giles or Giles, I don't know. I apologize. Renova Environmental Representative.
Yes, hi, it's Giles. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I can go over the summary again. I know that last time our main issue was that the DEP had not issued a permit number. I followed up with them the following day and they did issue the number that day. So I do have that number now. Would you like me to run through the project summary again?
Sure, why not?
Okay, so the Coast Guard is cleaning up the Annisquam Lighthouse property in order to make it essentially a vacation destination for Coast Guard members and their families and veterans of the Coast Guard. Renova, our company, performed a site investigation of this property and we identified lead contamination in the soil due to historic use of lead-based paint over time. And what our company is going to be doing is excavating lead contaminated soil. It's fairly shallow. I believe the deepest that will go on this property is up to 3 feet below grade. And then we'll be replacing those excavated areas with clean backfill and clean topsoil. And then we'll be restoring the property fully. So any disturbed areas will be reseeded. We'll allow the seed to take hold until we remove all of our erosion control mechanisms. And we don't intend on disturbing really any of the shrubbery or trees on site. So we'll really be leaving those alone and just working in the grassy areas.
Okay, excellent. I'll open up for public comment. This is the point of the meeting where anyone who wishes to speak for or against the project at 45 Norwood Heights, you may do so now. If you would like to comment, you can do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your handheld device or tablet.
I see no members of the public to comment at this time.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, and close the public comment period. Commissioner comments, if you want to go roll call, please, Adrian.
For comments, Commissioner Charpentier,
No comments.
Commissioner Cook,
No comments.
Commissioner Gradwall,
No comment.
Commissioner Sargent,
No comment.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
No comment.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
No comments. With that, oh. Someone want to say
Okay.
something?
I was just going to move forward.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for NOI 0282792, 45 Norwood Heights.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson moves to approve NOI 0282792, 45 Norwood Heights.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next up, notice of intent 28-2793, 8 Riggs Point, Valari, Whitman, and Bingham Associates representing.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, and members of the commission. For the record, my name is Brian Melissi. I'm an engineer with Whitman and Bingham Associates here representing the Valaire family. Very similar to the last hearing, we were in front of you at your last hearing. However, we had not had our DEP file number quite yet. And I think somebody at DEP kind of played catch up a little bit because I believe that maybe 2 days after that hearing, we received our file number as well. I can go through a brief overview of the project if you or any of your commissioners would like, or I
Please
would
do.
right back over you.
Please
So
do.
what we have here is a notice of intent to construct a single-family dwelling at 8 Riggs Point Road. I think I explained last time, as the crow flies, we are within the 200-foot outer riparian zone of Mill River. However, we are some 40 to 42 feet above the level of the river. I had mentioned that in 2011, we had come before this commission as well as the Gloucester Zoning Board of Appeals and received permits to go forward with the project. The project was started, however, for personal reasons for the homeowners and whatnot, it was kind of shelved and the permits were left to lapse. So we went back in front of the ZBA in either February or March of this past year and resurrected that permit. We do have our ZBA permit. And we are back in front of you asking for the notice of intent to construct the home. Remember that the last hearing, we were also on the agenda to request a certificate of compliance for the old order that we have, which would close out that because the work wasn't completed, and hopefully get a new order of conditions to do this. Kind of funny, if you do go onto the City of Gloucester's website and look up this property, the photo they have there shows our old DEP file number out front of it. So the picture was probably taken about 11 years ago.
Wow. Okay. Let me open it up for public comment at this time. This is where the public can speak for or against the project at 8 Riggs Point Road. If you'd like to do so, you may hit the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hit *9 on your phone or handheld device.
I see no members of the public to comment at this time.
Seeing none, hearing none, and close public comment period. I might as well do roll call comments from commissioners and then we can move to a vote if everything goes well.
Sure. Commissioner comments, Commissioner Charpentier,
No comments.
Commissioner Cook,
No comments.
Commissioner Gradwall,
No comment.
Commissioner Sargent,
Comment.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
No comment.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
No comment.
Thank you.
So with that,
Okay. Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for NOI 0282793 at 8 Riggs Point Road.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson moves to approve NOI 0282793 at 8 Riggs Point Road.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next up.
Thank you very much.
You're all set, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Have a great night.
You too. Thank you. Next up, notice of intent 28-2794, 6 Vine Street, Brooks, John Judd of Gateway Consultants representing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, John Judd, engineer with Gateway Consultants, representing Kevin and Debbie Brooks for this proposed elevated boardwalk and seasonal ramp and float. At our last meeting, we did receive comments from the members of the commission, as well as there was some concerns by the neighbor relative to the float location. So what we've done is we've submitted a revised plan that shows the separation that exists now between the floats for this property, for the float for this property, and the float across the tributary to the Mill River here. And what we've done is rotated, we've realigned the proposed float on our revised plan to maintain that 19-foot separation between the floats that exist at this time. So that is the revised plan that Adrian has up. We did since then receive clean letters from Shellfish, Harbor Master, and DMF, I believe, as well. It's in the file, so they had no concerns. Thank you. We did receive some late day comments today from DEP. However, I believe all their concerns were addressed in this revised plan. Specifically, they wanted the mean high water, top of bank, marsh shown on the plan, which again was already shown previously. They did request that DMF approval be acquired, which again has been obtained. And they indicate that the scale on the profile of the boardwalk, which is 1.5 times the width, be shown, and we do have a scale on that profile view. So I'm not sure if Alicia at DEP took a good look at the plan or not, but it is to scale, and we are trying to maintain that that elevation. We are proposing 1/2-inch spacing to allow for sunlight to better penetrate along with that clearance. That, along with the elevated legs on the float, I think achieve everything that DMF as well as CZM and the Shellfish Constable are requesting. So we can answer any questions you might have at this time.
Okay, first I'll open up the public comment. Does anybody, this is the period of the meeting where people can speak for or against the project at hand. Anyone wish to speak for or against the project at 6 Vine Street? You may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
All right, there is one member of the public to comment at this time. It is Christy. I'm going to allow you to talk and ask you to unmute. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello? Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. So I'm still concerned about my water access being closed off. I haven't had a chance to look at the new proposed plan. Was it made public?
Everything's a public record. You have to go
Okay.
either access it through the city, but everything's public record.
When did, okay, because I have been looking, maybe I missed it. When was it posted?
Mr. Judd, when did you post them?
That plan was revised and resubmitted on the 26th.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I mean, I still have a major concern about my water access being blocked off. I did speak with the harbor master, I think it was yesterday, or the day before. And he agreed. He said he had driven by, he agreed. As it is already, it's already blocked off. I can't even get a canoe out there when it's high tide. I literally like can't even get through. My children will have to be banging into engine motors, popping tubes. I'm just really concerned about my rights to be able to have water access. I feel as though the ramp and the float and the deck that was approved on 548 Washington Street, I don't think that should have been approved, because not by you, but by the harbor master, because that significantly blocks off my access. And I was just wondering if you sent out abutters notices, because I never received one for the 6 Vine Street. And oh yeah, you can't answer. So I guess that's it. That's just, I'm wondering why I didn't get an abutters notice, and how I have to take a look at the new plan. I haven't been able to pull it up. Now that I know it's there, I can take a look at it and just see. I haven't even looked at it at all. And it's hard to see on my phone, but I still have the same concerns. I don't see how, I mean, even now with the dock where it is, the size and everything, I can't get through. So I don't know. But so I guess that's it. And the abutters notices. I never received one, and I don't know if I was supposed to, but I believe so. So that's all my concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else, Adrian?
I see no other members of the public to comment at this time.
Seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. So Mr. Judd, we have, I don't know, we have a letter from the harbor master in agreement, but was it on this plan? Did he look at the most recent?
Yeah, so if you look at his letter dated yesterday, it says after conducting a site visit and reviewing the newest set of plans. So the harbor master did call me based on the old plan. He did agree, as the abutter had pointed out, that it was constricting that channel. He's reviewed that latest plan, the one you have in front of you, and he's quite satisfied. He says, I have no issues with the above owner applying and installing the float as shown. So that did address his comments. Relative to Miss, I guess it was Grace, I'm looking at the certified abutters list, and I don't see her listed by the city. So she's not on the list.
She didn't make the list. She wasn't in the loop. In the, what is it, 300 feet, 200 feet? I'm forgetting.
It's abutters to abutters, so she may not be
an abutter because of
an abutter. She may be 2 over, and that's why maybe she didn't make the list.
Well, it's up to you at this point. I'm going to go through commissioner comments, Mr. Judd, but at that point, I would suggest maybe you continue it to let this neighbor just get a look at it for another meeting, but that's your call. Just a suggestion. He seems very concerned. But again, we'll do what you direct us to do.
Okay.
So let's do roll call comments, commissioners. Adrian, please.
Sure, for comments, Commissioner Charpentier.
No comments at this time.
Commissioner Cook.
It's really not a comment, but although the harbor master says it's going to keep roughly 20 feet between the docks.
I think the other person's concerned about it, low tide, but that's a problem. Yeah, we really shouldn't be getting into navigation for the most part, but.
Right. Well, all I'm saying is perhaps we should make it as a part of our condition that it maintains 20 feet between the docks.
Yeah, I think his drawing does that. As long as his drawing is filed, I think we should be good, but you're right. There should be some documentation, but I think that might cover it.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Bill.
Commissioner Gradwell.
No further comment.
Commissioner Sargent.
Just as a, brainstorming thing, if you move the pier a little bit to the left, it seems like you could do a, if you bring that up, it seems like if you moved it to the left, the salt marsh cuts in a bit and you would be crossing less salt marsh and there would be less issues with navigation between the two adjacent floats. I'm just wondering if that's worth considering. In addition to that, I would prefer a greater than 1.5 to 1 height width ratio because many studies have shown that that's the minimum standard and there's still impact of the salt marsh. And I would like at least a 2 or 3 year monitoring of the salt marsh vegetation. And all material obviously must be non-toxic to the marine environment, and the floating dock could not be stored on the marsh.
Who's up next, Adrian?
Okay. Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
I had a comment. I've forgotten what it is, so I will pass.
It's getting late. Happens.
Co-Chairman Gullah.
Again, I rely on our professionals in town. If the harbor master is okay with it, I'm okay with it. If Shellfish is okay with it, I'm okay with that. I don't like us, and again, this is me speaking, I don't like myself or the board probably shouldn't be telling. We had another commissioner years ago who was just a hands-on person who wanted to tell people what to do. That can get us into trouble. Because if we move something or suggest to move something and it's a problem and it becomes our problem. So we just got to watch that. I don't see the problem here, but we're getting close to that edge. That being said, I would take 2 weeks to just have another conversation with the neighbor and make sure everything is cleared up. But if you or your client want us to vote now, we will do so. That was my.
Well, if I could, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to address Mr. Sargent's, recommendation. We did look at that. In fact, we submitted some photographs with the initial submittal. As you probably can guess, the more you move over upstream, the less access you're going to get to the already marginal water access that exists now. So you're looking at, by moving it back further east, and we're already moving it further to the east as from the existing location that exists now for that float. So we're meeting all the requirements. They've been fairly cooperative, with this, and it's going to be a vast improvement over what's there now. They have this, boardwalk that rests right on the salt marsh now, and it's just this is going to be a vast improvement at no small expense. So we are maintaining that existing setback from the neighbors. We did turn it 90 degrees as requested by the commissioners at the last meeting, and the applicant is quite anxious to move forward. So if we could close the public hearing, that would be our desire.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay, and Commissioner Jackson did remember her comment. It was just in response to Mr. Cook's comment. Should they decide to wish to expand the float outward, that would still have to go through the harbor master again, and the harbor master would take another look at it prior to approving. Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for NOI 0282794 at 6 Vine Street.
Charpentier seconds.
And roll call, Commissioner Charpentier.
Yes.
Commissioner Cook.
Yes, with the aforementioned condition of 20-foot being maintained.
Okay. Commissioner Gradwell.
I think that the current plan is 19 feet, but before you put that in, please look at it. Yes.
Commissioner Sargent.
Yes, with the monitoring of the salt marsh condition.
Okay. Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
Yes.
And Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson moves to approve NOI 0282794 at 6 Vine Street.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Judd. Notice of event 28-27, are you back again? 2795, 8 Russ Road, Scudieri, John Judd of Gateway Consultants representing. Scudery?
Yeah, thank you, members of the commission. This, I believe, was the just waiting from our meeting on the 21st of July. This was the reconstruction of an existing dwelling. And we have a substantial amount of native plantings proposed. We did receive our DEP file number. We did have minor comment that the alternatives analysis should be provided. And again, we had filed this under a redevelopment. If you recall, we are not going any closer to the resource area than what exists there now. And thank you, Adrian, for putting up the planting plan from Corliss. That actually shows that we are not going closer than the existing. There is a plant list there, and we can answer any questions that you might have at this time.
Okay, I'll open up for public comment. This is the period of the meeting where the public can speak for or against the project at 8 Russ Road. If you'd like to speak, you may do so by pressing the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or tablet or handheld device.
I see no members of the public to comment at this time.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. Why don't we go into commissioner comments?
Commissioner Charpentier,
No comment.
Commissioner Cook,
No comments.
Commissioner Gradwall,
no comment.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes, I'd like at least a 2-year monitoring plan for the mitigation plantings.
okay. Co-Chairwoman Jackson
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
No comments.
Thank you.
Mr. Jackson moves to approve NOI 0282795 at 8 Russ Road with the aforementioned conditions.
Charpentier seconds.
I think we got to close it.
Didn't I just do that?
You just did that?
No, I'm sorry, my head was down. I was writing. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Ignore me. That's what happens when you try and write.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes.
Thank you. And before you sign off for the night, Mr. Judd, if you would kindly respond to the comments that we received in email, even just an email response, as you've covered it here in the hearing, I would really appreciate it.
No problem. I'll take care of that tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
You
Good
too.
night.
Okay.
Next up, RDA 1704, 240 Atlantic Road, Cahill, Robert Cahill representing.
How are you? Hold on, you might be in the attendees.
Yeah, he is.
I'm going to promote you to panelist, Mr. Cahill. He's probably had dinner and watching the baseball game. Okay, here you are. Join us.
Mr. Cahill?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, here I am. Okay.
excellent.
Sorry, I'm a little new to Zoom.
Took us a while, trust us. So you want to give us a brief description of the project?
Yes, so this is a structure that's, I'm not sure really how old it is. It's been there for at least 30 years, I would say, because it's been there as long as I can remember. I've been doing work on the back shore for 30 years. It's about 1,000 square feet of sidewall shingles, roughly 10 square, that needs to be replaced. It's a circular structure, so the staging is a little, it's a little tricky. It's right on the coastal berm. It's, you know, pretty much built halfway on the rocks. And it's pretty much it is just replacing the sidewall shingles.
Okay, great. Let me open up the public comment, make sure nobody has any issues. So at this time, this is the point of the meeting where the public is welcome to speak for or against the project at the RDA, request for determination for 240 Atlantic Road. If you want to speak, you may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
I see no members of the public to comment at this time.
Okay, with that, seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. We'll move on to roll call comments.
Sure. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Charpentier.
No comments.
Commissioner Cook.
Are we gonna have any type of, are you planning on putting any type of, not snow fencing, but fencing to prevent anything from blowing away? As you
No, you're right, Bill. It's snow fencing. That's what we like. You're right.
Yes. On the ocean side of the structure, it would be very hard to put up any kind of fencing. It's pretty much really a bouldery, rocky. A sock would probably work. My thought was to put drop curtains up, during the work, on the pipe staging, to kind of prevent any debris from bouncing off the staging, into the coastal area.
Is that acceptable, Bill?
That'll work for me.
Okay.
Commissioner Gradwell.
No further comments. I was just concerned about rubbish.
Commissioner Sargent.
Speaking of rubbish, no comment.
Chairwoman Jackson.
Where are the old shingles going? Are they being dropped on a tarp? Are they being put in containers?
They will be stripped directly into barrels that we'll have on the staging.
Okay, and will those be emptied each night into a dumpster or something, or
Yes, there'll be a dumpster on the
taken off site?
on the street side of the residence. Yes.
Okay, okay. No further comments.
And Co-Chairman Gullo.
The only one to add to Aunt Joe's was with the dumpster, just make sure it gets covered every night
Yes,
so things don't blow out.
absolutely.
Okay, and with that, Aunt Joe, if you want to take it away.
Sure. Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for RDA 1704 at 240 Atlantic Road.
Charpentier seconds.
And roll call, Commissioner Charpentier.
Yes.
Commissioner Cook.
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell.
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent.
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
Yes.
And Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Jackson moves for a negative determination for RDA 1704 at 240 Atlantic Road.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier.
Yes.
Commissioner Cook.
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell.
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent.
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
Yes.
And Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're all set, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, RDA 1705, 6 Montgomery Place, Browns Yard Club, Browns Yard, Peter Bent applicant.
Peter Bent is in attendees. I'm going to promote you to panelist. Try to move you over. There you are. Go ahead.
Oh, and Joe, I just saw, do you mind taking over? I should recuse myself on this one.
Okay. All right. Mr. Bent, do we have you with us?
I
Are
think
you
so.
on Zoom?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Please
Great.
give us the description of the project.
The project's quite simple. We're going to replace existing pilings that are covered in my Chapter 91 license with the same type of piling and the same type of location. There's 2 reasons for doing this. One is the age of the pilings, and the other is I'm very concerned with climate change. and the height of the water that I've been seeing. And we've had some very high tides in the past couple of years. And I plan to replace some of these pilings with longer piles so that if we get a high tide, the water will not, the docks will not go over the top of the pilings, and then we have a problem.
Yes, yes, I can see that. Okay. Thank you very much. I'll open this up for public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to comment on the project at 6 Montgomery Place?
I see no members of the public to comment at this time.
Okay, then I'll close the public comment period. Let's go ahead and have commissioner comments.
Sure. Commissioner comments, Commissioner Charpentier,
No comments.
Commissioner Cook,
No comments.
Commissioner Gradwell.
I noticed that you're planning on using vibratory removal of the existing piles. All of the existing piles have to be taken out rather than assisted.
Correct.
Okay. Commissioner Sargent.
I want to make sure that there'll be a floating boom around the work area to make sure that debris doesn't float into the harbor.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
No further comment.
Okay.
Adrian, do you have anything, any comments on this?
No, I have nothing to add. We see a lot of this. I'm actually really pleased that Brown's decided to come in for the RDA for what some other property owners on the harbor may consider to be their by right entitlement. It is not. So we appreciate you setting the example and acknowledging that it does require a determination from the commission.
Okay. Then in that case, I think we're ready to move on. Linda, would you like to close the hearing?
I will. Charpentier moves to close the public comment, or, yeah.
Public hearing.
comment. Yeah, the public hearing.
Gradwell seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah. Oh, he's
He's
recused.
recused.
He's recused. Thank you.
And Linda?
Yeah, Charpentier moves for a negative determination for RDA 1705, 6 Montgomery Place.
And Gradwell seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent.
Yes, as long as there's a floating boom around the work area, yes.
Thank you. Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, you're all set, Mr. Bent. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
I'm back.
Okay,
Thanks, Anjo.
you're welcome.
We have what is this, an emergency order?
Yeah, so I'm just going to kind of show you where it is because this is a parcel with the frontage on 128 here. So back through here, there is a long-standing sewer line that was relined recently, like in the last 10 years, but it is still, or was still, always in need of a great deal more attention. And there was a line break this past week. So the DPW had to go out and repair it. And I issued an emergency cert for them to access the site and make the repairs needed to the sewer pipe.
Okay. Anything else we should know about in relation to the repairs, or have you been out since they've done the work? Are you all okay?
I went out the
Good.
day that they discovered the fail, and they were stabilizing and tightening up the site, obviously, as quickly as possible. I have not been back out since they completed the work, which was, a 1 to 2 day job. So
Okay.
I'll be back out probably by the end of the week to see it.
Okay. Do you want any roll call comments on that? Commissioner comments? Does commissioners have any comment on that?
None?
Commissioner Charpentier,
No comment.
Commissioner Cook,
No.
Commissioner Gradwell,
No comment.
Commissioner Sargent.
I'm familiar with the area and I'm glad they got that done.
Yeah. Co-Chairwoman Jackson
No, no comment.
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
No comments.
Okay, and if the commission will move to ratify emergency cert 2021-03.
Commissioner Jackson moves to approve, ratify East's emergency certification 21-03 for State Highway map parcel 50-70.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes,
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes.
Thank you.
So last up is certificate of compliance says. Do we want to do these in one group?
Yep, you can take them all together. I will say, I know many commissioners actually came out to the site visit at 722 Washington Street. It is really beautiful what they did out there.
It's
So
a great
that's like-
spot.
Yeah, it was really, really nice. And of course, 102 Concord Street and 51A River Road are also really beautiful sites. However, not as much of a transformation.
I see.
Okay.
Okay. Andrew, you want to take it away?
yep, Commissioner Jackson moves for approval for RCOC 0282660 at 722 Washington Street, for RCOC 0282770 at 102 Concord Street, and for RCOC 0283453 at 51A River Road.
Charpentier seconds.
And just to correct that, that's my error in the agenda. We haven't got to 3,000 yet. It's 0282453 51A River Road.
2458.
2453.
Oh, 24. Oh, I know that was my mistake. Maybe.
No,
Maybe
it's wrong
not.
on the agenda.
Okay.
It's my
Oh,
fault.
okay.
We
Okay.
haven't done 34.
All right.
We're still at 20. What are we at? 27, almost 28.
Okay. Anyway, so moved.
Charpentier seconds.
Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
When will
you. That was a good night, everybody. We got a lot done.
Thank
did
you.
indeed.
Making progress. We did get 7 new notice of intent filings today.
Nice. Okay.
So it's going to be a busy fall, apparently. The fun is over. Back to work.
Oh,
When, Adrian,
did-
when will these be ready for signature?
I will print off signature pages tomorrow, and thank you for mentioning that, Mr. Gradwell and Mr. Gullo. You owe me your John Hancock's for the last cycle.
what time will they be all out tomorrow?
I can try to put them out first thing, let's say 10:30. I'll have all the
Okay.
pages down there.
I will get it done.
Okay,
and Gradwell will also, sorry about that, lady.
thanks. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, everyone have a great night and be safe. Is there anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
No,
Commissioner Sargent,
yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you, Adrian.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Wonderful night.
You too.
everybody take care, be safe.
You too, Barry.
You too.
Be well.
Bye-bye.